I'd met Annie, Tommy's cousin, in February, when she'd moved to Crane Lake with her auntie and uncle. This was before Molly Maple had gone missing. I'd never asked what had happened to Annie's actual parents, for I felt that perhaps it may be a scathing, meddlesome subject of conversation. It was on one of those lively, sun-drenched afternoons, the kind where the heat seemed to thicken the air, making everything move slower, more deliberate, that Annie had the idea to do a tarot reading for all of us in our little ragtag group. I, being not much more than a child at the time, and having never been far beyond the borders of our little town, I'd no idea what a tarot reading was. Even in that town of old wives' tales, darkened, and those whom still perhaps followed the old ways, I still knew not of those cards and their puzzling images. We'd found an olden, seemingly forgotten place beneath a sprawling willow tree, just along the outskirts of Crane Lake, a spot where the branches hung low, like a magician's curtains, keeping us hidden, there where the sun rays slinked through the arching treetops. Annie sat in the center of our little circle, her knees drawn up, dirty bare feet crossed at the ankles. She had that self-assured stillness about her that seemed far too adult for someone her age, a quality that made her both mesmerizing and intimidating. She wore a faded, oversized shirt, with large green and brown stripes, its frayed hems dangling along her curvy waist. This was paired with a skirt of deep navy, patterned with tiny moons and stars, all winking and chuckling, flowing out like a rippling tide around her. Her dark, chestnut hair was unruly, long waves cascading around her shoulders, with a few rebellious strands falling across her face. She was always brushing them aside absent-mindedly, only for them to fall back as if they belonged there, hiding half her expression, like in a theatrical half-mask, hiding the hideousness beneath. Annie's eyes, though, they were clear and pensive. A piercing green that seemed to shift with the light, almost too bright against her sun-kissed skin. Her gaze would settle upon each of us, one by one, as if a game of duck goose, like she were reading more than our fortunes. Seeing right into the parts of us we hadn't yet seen ourselves. I thought of the automaton, the oracle in the arcade. His long, wise mustache, rife with the wisdom of the Orient. The hopefulness that one would actually receive a fortune card, and the dismay when one would not. I pictured Annie with smoke pouring from her clacking, puppet-like maw. Her eyes glowing with their incandescent, yellow color of madness. She moved slowly, as if savoring the weight of each moment, each word. Her voice had a softness, a lilting quality that enveloped, but there was something behind it, an edge of mischief. A hint of secrets not so easily shared, and stories not so easily spun. She shuffled the cards in her hands with a practiced, precise, rhythmic motion, the cards fanning out like whispers in her slender fingers. There was something hypnotic about the way she did this, like the cards were part of her, an extension of her thoughts, ready to regale us with those things with which she'd hoped would enlighten us. We all leaned in close as she laid down the first of the cards, glancing about with a nervous excitement, an apprehension, hoping she'd reveal something thrilling or forgotten. I noticed how each and everyone responded differently to her. Some fidgeted, others grinned or grimaced, but everyone was drawn in, like moths to her flame, unable to break the spell she was weaving. But when her gaze settled upon me, it lingered just longer, in slight. A flicker, a hint of something unspoken passing between us. I couldn't look away, even though her stare made my heart pulsate in such a way I couldn't explain. There was something about her presence that felt like ice skating on the edge of a knife, thrilling and dangerous. She held up the first card with a small smile. It was the Fool. New beginnings, she said, her voice but a low murmur that made the words feel more like an enchantment than a reading. Taking a step forward into the unknown. Someone's about to start something that they can't come back from. I wasn't sure if she was talking about herself, or one of us, or maybe all of us. Annie's eyes flickered over to me as she said it, her gaze, again, lingering just a second too long. A chill crept up my spine, despite the mucky summer air. The The next card she revealed was the tower, a crack-jagged image of a burning tower stricken by lightning, with shadowed figures falling from it. She traced her fingers along the edge of the card, almost tenderly. "Something is going to break," she whispered. "Something big. Something none of us can stop." A hush fell upon us. I glanced around, noting the reactions of the others. Some looked away, uncomfortably, whilst the others watched Annie with a kind of sick awe, as if she were conjuring a spell right there before us, just like a witch in a fairy tale. I could feel my own heart, palpitating, unsettled by the conviction in her voice. I had the strange feeling that she was warning us, trying to tell us that everything was going to change, and that she was somehow catalyst. She looked back at me, holding my gaze as she turned over the final card. Death. Annie's smile softened. "It's not always about dying," her voice gentle but firm, like she were trying to reassure us. "Sometimes it's transformative. About something ending so something else can begin." Her eyes drifted to me, and in that moment, it was as if no one else existed, just Annie and I, connected by an intangible something. I wondered what she saw in me, if she had already seen the secrets that would bind us, the choices that would haunt us. She tilted her head, a small smirk playing on her lips. But, maybe, it could mean something else, too. She let the words hang like a fog along the sea. No one spoke. I felt a lump in my throat, an unspoken understanding passing between us, something both magnetic yet terrifying. She had given us a glimpse into a future that none of us could quite grasp, but somehow felt destined to face. When she was finished, the others scrambled away, laughing off their nerves, chattering about anything else. But Annie stayed, and so did I, both of us quiet as the breeze picked up, ruffling her hair and stirring the cards left on the ground. She looked at me one last time before gathering the cards, as if she had seen something in me that I hadn't yet recognized. And I knew, in that moment, that Annie wasn't just a girl passing through our own. She was here for a reason, and whatever that reason was, it had tied our fates together in a way I didn't fully understand, but couldn't ignore. She again looked to me, her eyes gleaming through her hair as the sun above did through the trees, and she brushed it away just enough to give me a glimpse of her inner workings.